Okay, we're ready to go. So let's take a look at the November meeting for the elementary and middle schools. I'm going to be sharing the PowerPoint and we'll be following this along. You can find this on the website. As we go, I'll be pointing out different resources and hopefully we'll be all on the same page. So again, welcome to everyone. Want to take a few moments just to say that I appreciate your time and efforts. No need to sign in, but definitely understand that if we've got questions, ask them. Together we work much better than we do when we're separate. So today's agenda includes access. Most of it's going to be access for ELLs, the update and final preparations for the coming season.
December 5th.
We'll take a look very briefly at some forward updates, just something very quickly. Then we'll be spending a little bit of time, those of you who are involved with the AAPPL, which is the Apple Language Proficiency Assessment. Got some updates on that. And then just if there's a need, we'll review how to find different materials. And if there's any lingering questions, we'll take those as well. Okay, so I'm going to jump in right now. We are now in the second phase of Access preparation. The first phase was up until November 2nd. Again, that was some prep work, some professional development, getting the IEPs completed. Right now, we're in this middle phase of November 3rd through December 3rd, focusing on professional development as well as preparing your building schedules, locations, technology, etc. And finally, beginning the 3rd of December through the 1st of February is the actual testing. So let's take a look at a little bit more detail at each one of these of the current and then the future sections of time. Right now, really the focus is on completing professional development. As we said last month, one of the things that's important is that every 2 years, someone who is giving the ACCESS test, the regular ACCESS, should recertify. So for most people, since this is you had a year off last year, this is the 3rd time around for doing ACCESS. It's about time that you just refresh your memory, go in, take a look at the quiz, answer the questions, and you should be good. Otherwise, the video professional development is also there. Here's the clarity, though, point of clarity. Alt access. So alternate access. If you are giving the alternate access, please understand that this is an annual recertification. Every year, whoever is going to be giving the alternate access should recertify. Here's why. The alt access is one of 2 assessments, the other being kindergarten, that require you as the person who gives the assessment to actually score the speaking portion. As we go through time, we want to ensure that a 3 in one year is a 3 in the next, it's a 3 in the following. So it's really important to reconfigure, just to get your mind focused back on what is a 1, what is a 2, what is a 3, etc. in the speaking component. So it's really critical that anyone who does the alt access does the professional development on an annual basis. This is regardless if you are an ESL support person or ERT, whatever, if you are supporting a student in their language acquisition, or if you happen to be a CC teacher or a case manager for the student. This is really important that you in the buildings decide who is best positioned to really connect with that student and give them this assessment. So it could be a team approach, in which case both staff members are working to give the alt access. In that case, you would need to have both staff members doing the professional development for the alt access. We are not dictating who is that gets the who gives the alt access. There is a case to be made that it really could be either the language support person or the special services support person. So I know that there's some questions, and we'll get to those in just a moment. Let me finish this slide, and then we'll come back in to that. Actually, let's stop right now. We'll check the chat. See if there's anything. Okay, here's a question. How does the CC teacher get her username and password to log in to get certified? The answer is, please send the name of the staff person to either Sarah or myself, Sarah Wallner or myself, and we will take care of that. We will, or to WIDA Screener. We'll get that all set up, and we will let that person know so that they can have access and do the professional development. Also, during this time, you'll see that you really need to continue to think about the scheduling for access in your building. A reminder that only the Chromebooks are the tools that we use for this particular assessment. And also a reminder that on Monday, the 12th of November, the roster review process closes, and you need to let us know how things are going as far as the particular concerns on the roster. So we're going to take a look at the roster. Just a reminder, you were sent this. There are 2 tabs on the roster. One is simply just the roster tab, and the other is IEP accommodations list. Please keep in mind that this is not a list of students that you need to go back in and double check everything. The data has been pulled directly from IC or from OASIS. So that data is already in there. Everyone should be aware of that. What we're looking for is this kind of information. You'll see that there are a couple of cases in this example where a student has a bright yellow highlighted section. That indicates that there's either an open IEP or there are no accommodations listed. We just want to double check on that before we get into actually the creation of the tickets and uploading all these accommodations and supports to the software. The other thing that you'll see is you might see a light blue colored bar, which indicates a 504. And if that is also listed here, double check to make sure that their 504 actually has supports or accommodations if needed for access. Also on this page, you should be able to get the total number of students that are expected to be assessed or given the access from your building. In this particular case, you will see the number of students, the grade level the students are in, which format, the online format, the alternate access, or the kindergarten assessment that they're expected to take. You'll also see their approximate, their last DPI level from last year. So that will be listed here. So that will be on the roster page. That's kind of your master list to make sure that you've got everyone. Let's see. I have a student who re-enrolled on November 5th. How do I make sure he is added to our roster? Great question. Make sure, again, it should be pretty clear whether or not the student is an ELL. WIDA Screener has been done. If that's not an issue, please email Sarah or myself the name of the student, and we'll make sure that they get added to the roster. Okay, so this should be kind of a roadmap of who it is that you are expected to test. I want to just follow up with the other. Yeah, Sarah just responded to that as well in the chat. Okay, I'm going to continue on. The next tab on this particular spreadsheet will show you those students who are expected to have accommodations or supports for access. Whether or not they take the alternate access will also be listed here. you will see that there will be a lot of different supports or accommodations listed. This comes directly from OACCESS. Please keep in mind that almost anything can be put into OACCESS. That doesn't mean that it is actually a real accommodation for the ACCESS test. For instance, you will see repeat item audio. That is an actual accommodation found in ACCESS. Here is one that you won't find. Untimed. Well, that's because the entire thing is untimed. Frequent breaks is not an accommodation to be found in the software of ACCESS. So just please keep in mind, this page is specifically designed so that you can look and see and group students who have similar supports or accommodations or needs. So you would probably say, here is allow a student to read aloud to self. You would certainly want that student in a small group of doing the same or by themselves. Okay, I'm going to just stop here for a moment to see if there are any questions on either one of those before we continue moving on. Okay, if you do have questions, please make sure that you email us. We'll be happy to help you out. Continuing on with things that are happening right now, there are sample questions. If staff members have never given ACCESS, they should review that. Also, students who are new to the system who have never taken ACCESS, regardless of their grade or tier level, should probably become familiar with it, as it may or may not be something that they're comfortable with at this point. Also, begin thinking about who, if anyone, will need to have physical books to write in versus keyboarding. Now, we know that grades 1, 2, and 3 all have physical books for the writing portion. The expectation is not that they keyboard. In fact, there is no way that they can keyboard. If there is a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th higher grade level student who has meets certain qualifications, we want to make sure that they have the best opportunity to succeed, so we can get a student writing book. So let's take a look at what that might be. So the requirements for getting a writing book are that it's really based on the student's own inexperience, unfamiliarity, or discomfort with keyboarding. If a student arrives to our schools who has never had an experience, or rarely has had an experience actually working on a computer, it would certainly be a disadvantage for them to be able to show their writing skills by simply trying to find a letter on the keyboard and hunting and pecking. So if that's the case, then it's a possibility that then we can go ahead and get a writing booklet for them. The process is that you need to email myself or Sarah and let us know who the student is, because here's what happens. First of all, we have to put them into a new session. It's called a writing handwriting session. They will be getting a separate login or a new login ticket. So you will be getting tickets. If they choose to do the handwriting, you will need to get rid of the writing ticket and we'll get you a new one. They do need to log in to the computer. So the writing prompts are actually on screen, and they respond by handwriting or writing in a booklet, a physical booklet. So again, they do need to have the computer. They will need something to write with, and they will have a booklet in which to write. So as far as the tickets are concerned, we will be adding the students to new sessions. Once you make a decision about who is going to need a test booklet, please make sure that you let us know and give us some time. This can be done during testing, but please make sure that you give us time to produce the tickets and to order the material. We do not have material sitting here waiting for students in a specific grade level or a grade band or a tier. So we have to order this, and it takes at least overnight for us to get the material. So we're suggesting that you give us 3 days. If you do the speaking and the reading and the listening, you get the tier report, and in that process, the student says, or you decide, I'm not sure if I want the student doing this on the computer. Let us know. We can go ahead and order this. Likewise, I know that students never change their mind. So if they should decide that, no, I'd rather just take it on the computer like all my friends, that's their choice, that's fine. We need to get another new ticket to put them back into the original session, and then we get rid of the handwriting ticket, and finally you send us back the booklet. So long process, but I'm sure that you've been through something similar to this. Just be in communication with us and we'll help you through it. Now, once we hit the testing window, we have the listening and reading session. Obviously first, this should be just review. We will be printing tickets. We'll be having a separate color for each of the domains. It will be to you on, we'll be getting them out the door here February 28th. So somewhere in that neighborhood, right before the test window opens. Keep in mind, again, any changes to accommodations during or after this point, we'll need to have new tickets. So if a student still does not have the IEP closed by the time tickets are printed, that's fine. Just let us know. We'll need to print a new ticket. You will need to print a new ticket. We'll need to set that up for them. A reminder also that a cutoff for adding new students to the system and testing them is January 25th. So if you get a new student into your school who is identified or you identify as an English learner, prior to January 25th, they are expected to take the ACCESS test this year. After January 25th, it is not a reasonable expectation to do that. So they will be taking the ACCESS test next year. A couple things to point out. Keep in mind that alternate ACCESS and any additional materials are only going to be first ordered on this November 29th. So do not expect to test alt ACCESS students or students who need writing booklets during that first week. So the 3rd through it would be I believe the 6th, that particular week. It's more than that, maybe the 8th. That first week, don't expect to do any alt ACCESS or writing booklets because the material will be coming in, but we want to make sure that you get it in a timely fashion. We only are able to order it beginning November 29th. If you are testing kindergarten students, those materials arrive on November 30th. So again, don't expect to be testing kindergarten students on the first day. We will turn them around as quickly as possible, but I would say Wednesday of that first week might be appropriate as a starting point for kindergarten. It may even be later than that. So please just keep in mind that these are dates that we have no control over. We'll get material to you as quickly as possible, but don't expect alt ACCESS or kindergarten materials to be available on the first day of testing, December 3rd. Okay. Keep in mind that the tickets come forward to a page. They will be in alphabetical order by grade and to you on the 28th of November. Once you've given the listening and reading, remember that there is a tier placement report. So you need to go into WIDA AMS software, log in, get the report, and then finally figure out what your small group placements are going to be. A reminder that once you begin a domain or subtest, you must complete that on the same day that you start. So if you're starting with reading, you need to finish it the same day that you actually start. Here's an example of what the tickets will look like. You'll notice that on the tickets, this one has an accommodation ES, whereas this particular one does not. So this has NA written on it. ES, and there are several other different accommodations, actually 3, are listed here. ES is extended speaking response time. If you recall, speaking is the only one of the 4 domains that are actually timed, that the average student, without any supports or accommodations, will go no longer than 30 minutes. Extended speaking response time is actually time and a half, and will provide the student with 45 minutes of speaking time. This will appear on their tickets, so you should double check that if you know students should get extended time on their speaking. The 2 other options that you'll see coded on the tickets are MC, which is manual control of item audio, and so they are able to control the speaking. They can stop it, they can replay it, repeat the audio item is the RA. Oftentimes they go together so that a student can listen again. So these are the only 3 accommodations that you can actually do as far as controlling the software is concerned. So again, going back to that whole accommodations list that's found in OASIS, there might be several that just don't make any sense for ACCESS. Use your common sense. Here are the 3 that are available, and if you have questions, please connect with us and we will get an answer back to you as quickly as possible. All right, technology. Reminder that this again is only for Chromebooks. Please double check to make sure that you have headsets, so headphones with the microphone. Students are allowed to use earbuds for all other domains. If they choose, they can use headphones. If you are looking for headphones to order or headsets to order, let me know. I've got a suggestion. The KOSS brand, KOSS brand, they're good about replacing broken headsets, so for nothing. So please let me know if that is something that is of interest to you and you have a little bit of budget. They're not that expensive, a little bit of budget to actually order them. Now, when you go into WIDA AMS, please be careful because every year they add new things to it. Here is, when you log in, here is the login screen. Please make sure that you select the 2018-2019 Wisconsin Access for ELLs 2.0. You'll see that they have on there the list of other years or past years, as well as the screener. It's very easy just to pick the wrong one, or since this is a drop-down, get it to slide and be in the wrong year. So please make sure that you're careful when you log in, that you are actually in the correct assessment administration. So how do you print reports? So on the Office of Assessment Administration, our website, you can find several different reports. Make sure that you navigate to ACCESS for ELL's coordinator page. And if you need that particular URL and can't find it, let me know. If you scroll down that page, first of all, let me tell you that even though that the window is correct here, the letters are last year's letters. I should be getting those corrected and updated on the website in the next 1 or 2 days. So you should have access to that. We'll go to the website in just a moment. As you scroll down the page, one of the items you'll see is manuals and guides. And this has updated information from the state. And also you'll see how to print individual student tickets, as well as tier placement reports. So these how-to documents are actually, we're going to update those in the next 24 hours as well. And there have been no changes, so they should be just as good as last year. You probably, once you have done this 4 or 5 times, you know exactly what you have to do. Printing tier placement reports as well as individual student tickets. So it shouldn't be an issue. These are screenshots. We'll make sure they're accurate and up to date and available for you no later than Monday. Also, just keep in mind that you can monitor your students. There are reports for this. You can just take a look under student management, student test progress, click find students, and it will, after you've done the grade level and school, and you will be able to see where all your students are, what they've completed and what they have not. So that is an option that's available. Not too critical at the beginning because all your students are at the same place, but as you get closer and closer to the end of the window, it's something that you should probably check in. If you have any questions about AMS, we're almost done with the section on access right now, but keep in mind that there are icons for each student, and here are a description of what each one of these icons represent. The nice thing about the WIDA AMS software is that when you hover over an individual icon, it will pop up and you will see what the name of that particular icon is. You'll get, again, pretty used to using these if you are in charge of your building. If you have questions, please let me know and we'll certainly address those. All right, taking a deep breath. I realize that this is way far away, but there were so many new people to assessment coordination in the buildings this year, and I just want you to know that if you are doing the access, so you're involved with the interface for WIDA AMS, it's nearly identical for the Wisconsin Forward exam. So you actually have a leg up on a spring assessment by learning how to use the WIDA AMS, because the vendor, Data Recognition Corporation, has not changed anything. It'll get you to different places by going for the forward exam, but it looks and feels and works basically the same. Okay, now let's just move on to AAPPL. So the buildings that are involved with the AAPPL language proficiency assessment are those who have dual language immersion programs. 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades will all be taking the same speaking test. That was not what it was originally decided, but there was compelling argument why we should only do, we should not give 4th graders more assessment. So that's changed. I've sent out tickets to all the schools. Reminder that the window closes on November 30th. The results are back in district before winter break. And one of the critical pieces that we're setting ourselves up for this year is to ensure that staff have all the access to the data. The data is going to be in IC and then ultimately into Data Dashboard, which it was not for everyone last year. We'll also pull last year's data in and get that up to date. If you have questions about AAPPL, I've just finished a troubleshooting guide and I'm ready to send that to everyone. So I know that there have been a couple of schools that have had some technology issues, so we're going to update you on those via email. And I believe that's it for today. So if you have questions and we have not covered them, I'm going to hang out here after I stop the recording, and we'll make sure that we get things answered for you. So we'll be able to actually talk, and we'll turn the mics back on, etc. Thank you for your time, and as always, if you have questions, email or call us. All right.